Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge. So let's sit upright, head suspended from above. Body relaxed, at ease. Allow gravity to pass through your soft tissues, relaxing, softening. Let your shape, your body, be as still as possible. Breathing in a way that feels nice, comfortable, allowing everything to settle down for a little while. Let your mind do whatever it wants. If it wants to run around and be distracted, let it run around and be distracted. Just give your mind complete freedom. Freeing your mind from control, from trying to manipulate it, from trying to bend it into a shape that you find pleasant or good. Just let it be. Think about everything being just right, just perfect, the way it is. Including your restlessness, the thoughts, the feelings, the state of your body and the environment. All is perfect the way it is. I don't have to add anything. I don't have to take away anything. Whatever experience presents itself to you, it is in its most simple form just expressions of aliveness, just life, movement. Not good, not bad, just life expressing itself in consciousness. The sound, sight, feelings, smell and taste, as well as thoughts. Life expressing itself in different ways. We just rest, giving space for life to unfold, for all this movement, all this energy to do what it does effortlessly. Allowing for all those changes to take place. Things coming and going. Experiences arising and passing. And just seeing all this take place. Let yourself be guided by a curiosity. How strange is it to feel? How strange is it to experience sound or thought? How strange that there is a point in this universe that is conscious. Experiencing different things. Let go of any kind of agenda, any trying. Just marveling at whatever there is right now in consciousness. Watching it come, watching it go. Without any effort. Notice the difference between having a thought, being a thinker, and seeing a thought. Being aware of its natural arising and passing. Words and images popping up and then dissipating again. Just following their nature. The difference between watching an emotion as it dances through your consciousness and being involved in this emotion, feeling emotional. Notice that there is always two layers. One, there is an experience, such as a sound, and then there is a reaction to it. I encourage you to be aware of both, not adjusting anything, simply knowing the arising of sound, the arising of reaction. Notice that both happen without any effort. Just like when you push a button and a program starts running. Getting out of this mindset that you need to control yourself or your environment or your reaction to the environment. Getting into a mindset of curiosity, watching, seeing what happens. Seeing deeply into the nature of what happens, where it happens, and who it happens to. Just watching this natural arising and passing of all these old programs that exist within yourself. I have to, I should, I'm trying, I need to do this, do that. Waiting, hoping, fearing, liking, disliking, wanting, not wanting. Just watching as they arise and pass without any effort. I should not. I think perhaps I will. What does this mean? Why? So many thoughts, so many sensations. Old habits. There's nothing to do about all those things. Nothing to get rid of. Nothing to attain either. It's just the recognition I am already here. Truth is already this. Isn't it amazing that right here, right now, there is consciousness? It's here without any effort on your behalf. You're not producing it. You're not sustaining it. And you're not making it go away. It simply is self-evident. What is this consciousness like? Don't think about it. Look directly. What's the looker like? What is it made of? Where is it? If a thought arises, look at the thinker. Who or what is it that is thinking this thought? Again, don't think about it, but look directly. If upon looking you find nothing and the thought dissolves, just rest in that. There's no need for any further investigation. Once another thought arises, again look into the one who is thinking. Look directly. And in your own time, you can slowly come back, maintaining that level of centeredness and awareness as you open your eyes and perhaps gently stretch your body a little bit. Good morning, everyone. One of the most simple instructions is perhaps the instruction to stop. Just stop it. Just stop. But also, in its simplicity, it's very easy to just misunderstand it. You might spend many hours trying to stop. Just trying to stop. That's not stopping. You're still trying. You haven't stopped. You're now just doing the same thing that you were always doing in a different form. The cessation of intention, the cessation of doing, of trying, of manipulating, of controlling, is peace. So if you're looking for peace, stop. Because whatever it is that you're doing is keeping you from peace. It doesn't allow you to penetrate deeper, to settle into the nature of your being. If I were to receive just only one instruction, and it would be to stop. If I had sincere desire for peace, and I've received this one instruction, and I would take it with me into a forest, into a cave, or into a retreat. And I had no books, I had no internet, nothing to do further research. There'd only be me. How would I put this instruction into practice? What would I do if my teacher, my master has told me, just stop? Let's say I'm not one of those people that is a spiritual person just merely out of some interest, intellectual curiosity, just killing some time, just wanting to gather some more information. But let's say I have a real yearning for peace. I have a profound desire. I can't rest until I truly found peace. So I'm really, really serious about this. This would be the first requirement. If I were to enter some sort of retreat or cave or whatever, then I would have to really burn to find this truth, rather than just parroting information or like a little robot following instructions for the sake of being a good boy, the teacher's pet, for the sake of belonging to a group or a culture or a tradition. But if I really want to find peace, like as if my life depended on it, I would be qualified to put this instruction into practice. Even with that simplicity, it would be enough. There are some stories of past masters who have received precisely these really simple instructions. And some of them had to endure incredible hardship to get these instructions. They have to travel thousands of kilometers to meet this teacher that they've heard of that has this one line of instruction. And then often the teacher would further test the student whether this one line is given into the right hands. He's not just throwing it out. It's treated like the ultimate treasure. If you treat one line of instruction just like this, you're really qualified to receive these kind of simple instructions, because it will be enough for you. Because your desire is not for gathering information, it is for finding peace. And you wouldn't rest until you find it. So you receive that. One line of instruction, you would take on great hardship to get it. And once you got it, it'd be like receiving the greatest treasure ever, even if you haven't understood it yet. You would then go and sit down and try to put this instruction into practice. And you would fail miserably for a long time. You'd have to try so many ways to stop. Just receiving that simple instruction, just stop. You'd have to try to make this work somehow. How do I just stop? What do I need to do to just stop? What is meant by that? I'd have to figure this all out by myself. You see, there is a bit of a problem nowadays with all this information that's around. It's quite easy to take that information and think that this is the real deal. Now that you have that information, you have it. But that's not the case. Obviously, if you were to be tested, you'd still suffer even in the possession of this information. It's just intellectual, it's just on the surface. Hasn't actually been embodied, isn't a real, true, living inside. It has to come alive with you. So trying to make this simple instruction come alive I'd have to go through further hardship. I'd have to be willing to explore it. I would have to have faith. I'd have to know that this instruction that was given for me is the correct instruction. And now I have to figure it out. I have to make it work. And so I probably spent months and years trying to stop incorrectly. But that doesn't really matter because my yearning is sincere. My sense of purpose is real. I'm in it for peace, so I wouldn't stop until I found it. And I've been given this tool, this little instruction, as a little hint to figure it out. So I have some advantage. But for most of us, we are not like that. Most people who come to the path, most people who come to these kind of practices, to a Buddhist center or some place where meditation is practiced, usually we have some sort of curiosity, we have a feeling, a hunch that this somehow might make things a little better somehow. If I did this meditation thing, life would be a little bit better. That's for most people, that's this idea that it would make things a little bit more easy, a little less grueling. And so we then begin to investigate a little further. We try out a little bit, and usually at some point we find out, it's quite difficult, or I don't really get it. And then quickly we get carried away by other methods and other things. And it's the problem with modern day online habits. When you go online, you're suggested so many things. You're not just ending up on YouTube with that one video that you then practice for the next 8-9 years. You find that one video and plenty of other interesting suggestions next to it. So you kind of dig into them as well because you want to add on to your information, because we consider information to be the Holy Grail. That's it. Like if I only had the right information, everything would be fine. But this path is not about information at all. It's about this desire for peace. Even without being given any information, if you really wanted to find peace, you would find it. If your desire is sincere. You wouldn't give up until you found it. You would put it to the test. You would measure your progress. You try so many different things until you found the right solution. Many scientists, they are in their nature kind of like this. The good ones are like this. Famous story of Einstein, right? He had this question in his mind, what is light? What's the nature of light? And usually the normal average person would perhaps consider this question as a little curiosity, then Google it, what light is, and find a bunch of formulas and lose interest really quickly. Okay, like maybe a simple video to explain it. Okay, light is this and that, and oh, that was interesting. Okay, now I know what light is. But think of the person that found it out first. They had to come up with all this. The hardship they went through to actually discover the nature of light. It's often lifetimes of work. Many, many years of trial and error and discussions with other scientists and constant yearning. Their mind is constantly occupied with this riddle. They want to solve this problem. Similarly to the Buddha. The Buddha went into the forest. He wanted to find an end of suffering. And he was the first. He was like a trailblazer. How would I find the end of suffering when no one else around me could actually give that to me? Actually give me instructions of how to get there. There were a couple of teachers. The Buddha had teachers in this time, and they taught him mostly how to become a meditative prodigy, like an expert at meditation. He got really, really good at practicing meditation here, meaning his mind was able to enter profound states of absorption and stillness. Amazing. But he found out that this isn't peaceful. It's peaceful while you're in it, but as you come out of it, still, you're not done. There's still a perception of time. There's still a perception of suffering. It just comes creeping back into your life. No matter how deep the absorption was, suffering keeps coming back. So it's kind of like it puts a stop on it temporarily, and then suffering comes back after that. So you put a pot onto a patch of grass, and then the grass underneath the pot stops growing. But as soon as you lift the pot, plants will come growing back again in due time. Nature will just reclaim everything. Things arise and pass just in accordance with nature. How do I find a peace that is lasting, that is beyond this arising and passing, with the instruction, just stop? What is it that needs to stop? Where is that located? The one that needs to stop?
No.
Is it an object that needs to stop? Or is it the subject that needs to stop? So what's the nature of those objects that I observe? How would I go about stopping them? Can I stop them? So you'd have to observe two things, essentially. You'd have to observe all objects. You'd have to understand them profoundly. And you'd have to observe the subject. Because there is really nothing else. That's all there is. The experience just consists of those two things. There is a subject and there is objects. That's where we can search. These are the two places where you can search. So is it about stopping objects? Can you stop objects? Then it's about understanding, where do objects appear? Where are they perceived? Where is sound perceived? Where is smell, sight, and so on? Where is all this perceived? Is it perceived outside? Outside of what? Outside of the body? Is it perceived inside of the body? Is there something that's outside of the body that is then perceived inside of the body? Or is there merely perception? Are we deluded, just like a dreamer that is deluded by the dream images? That maybe thinks that, oh, out there's a beautiful coconut tree, or there's a beautiful mountain, there's a sky, there's other people, there's clouds, but really there's none of that. Both the outside in the dream and the inside are perceived in the mind. There's not an actual person in your room as you're sleeping and you're dreaming about that person. The person doesn't exist in your room. It exists in the mind, right? It exists in the dreaming mind. So in the dreaming mind, there is a subject and there is objects. Just like right now. We have a subject, me, and we have a lot of objects. The problem is we do not understand their nature, that we do not understand the nature of experiencing them. And so before you can think of stopping, you'd have to gain a thorough understanding of objects and the subject. Not intellectually. That's the good news. You don't have to study many, many books to find out how to stop. But you have to look inside. Even if someone has to tell you, you have to look inside, there's already something slightly off with that instruction. You have to look. you either want to look or not. You want to know or not. Otherwise, why even engage in this path? Why even bother to understand myself and all this? Why would I do all that? It's so much work. Why would I sit down and go through all this effort to figure out the nature of my mind, the nature of experiences, for the sake of attaining peace, if I'm not genuinely interested in peace? And then someone comes along and says, you have to meditate every day for 1 hour or something like that. I think, okay, I have to do this now so I can find out. It's like, do you really want this? Or are you just happy to follow someone's instruction? Because it makes you a bit more safe, makes you feel a bit more safe. Do you actually want peace, or do you just want to be a nice follower of your teacher's instruction? It doesn't matter how good the teacher's instructions actually are. I think a lot of people are on this for the benefit of just belonging somewhere. I'm not feeling as alone. I belong to a group. I'm one of those guys. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a Hindu. I'm a yogi. At least I'm someone. At least I have a home somewhere with some people. Like a family, belonging, a sense of, that reinforces my sense of self. In this world, most people, I'd argue, would not really be interested in peace, or much more interested in experiences, having many different types of experiences, wanting to experience happy things, nice things, not wanting to experience bad things, unpleasant stuff. Most of us preoccupied with these worldly concerns. Wanting pleasure, trying to avoid pain, wanting fame, trying to avoid disrepute, wanting gain, not wanting loss. Wanting praise, not wanting to be blamed. And so we work really hard for this. It seems that we are really occupied with these things much more than we are occupied with how do I actually find peace, regardless of pleasure or pain, regardless of blame or, praise or disrepute or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is peace. And no matter what the world says, I won't rest until I find it. If you have that kind of mindset, you're very, very suitable for the path. It's not about having some convenience or belonging somewhere. We have to look at the root of those paths, Buddha or Shiva or Jesus and so on, that they were profoundly interested in the nature of their experience themselves and wanting to find an end to suffering. Not only, very often only for themselves, but they've recognized that the same suffering that I experience, everyone else experiences that too. So how wonderful would it be if I find a solution, not only for myself, but for everyone, that can be used throughout the generations and ages? That'd be amazing. So they were driven not only by their own interest, but by the interest that's much broader for the sake of all. That at some point they must have realized on their path this, what they are doing here is not just benefiting themselves, it's benefiting everything, everyone. So today, to summarize this a little bit, might be a bit confusing. The idea is to transmit this question for yourselves, to ask yourself, why are you really bothering to be on such a path? Would a simple instruction be enough for you? Or do you just want a lot of information? Do you want a lot of interesting things? Is it for the sake of triggering your interest? Oh, that's interesting. That sounds interesting. Wow, so interesting. Is it for that sake? Are you accumulating information? Do you want more information? There's nothing wrong in that. It might seem like that there's a wrong thing about this. No, it's not a wrong thing at all. The nature of this path, however, if you want to tread it for real, is hopefully leading you beyond just interest in information. Hopefully it is this information that you hear that sinks in, that makes you think a little, that makes you question yourself, and then triggering a deeper yearning for something that is real, authentic, that goes beyond all these layers of information and emotional confirmation and belonging and all that, but really pulls you in, makes you curious. What on earth is this? I'm here, I'm experiencing so much every day. Isn't that absolutely strange? Sound, just sound alone, like experiencing sound. How weird is that? And what's the one that is experiencing that sound? Even more weird. If you investigate, if you look deeply into both the experience, the object, and the subject, both is super strange. It happens so effortless. Sound is just experienced. I'm not doing the experience. And sound is not done by me either. Or perhaps that's what it means to stop. The simple recognition that there is no such thing as a doer. Because if you really look for one, if you look in the object and you look in the subject, nothing to be found. There's only a bunch of stuff that arises and passes. But a doer, an actual controller of experience or objects, you can't really find it. And with the cessation of the doer, there is stopping. Something has stopped. And with that stopping, there is peace. Essentially, this should be more than enough. If your yearning for peace is sincere, that should be more than enough of an instruction. I think it was Nisargadatta Maharaj. He get this instruction from his teacher, something like, just rest in the I am. That was the only instruction needed. Just rest in the or as the I am. That's a bit more elaborate than stop. It's a bit more like, okay, I get something to do there. And then you do this for years and years and years and years. You just commit to it. You rest as the I am. If you were to take this really deep, if you wouldn't do anything else besides that, you would arrive. The same destination. You didn't satisfy yourself with anything other than the I am itself. For a Christian mystic, the same thing applies, by the way. God's name is I am. Rest in God. Where can you find God? Where is God? What is God? All right, that's enough for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day.